So along with that, welcome to everyone in Camp Crediv. Welcome also to Father Eamon. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. Fair play to you for putting together a camp at short notice. There have been a lot of changes this summer in all of our programs due to COVID-19, or as I've heard it called, Corona-19, and one friend of mine calls it the COVA. COVA. Okay, whatever. Okay, so I have a little nephew. I have lots of little nieces and nephews. I have 9 of them. One of them is called James, right? And James is particularly cute, right? And he knows it, right? He's like, what is he, 18 months, 2 years or something? Keeps changing. He's very, very cute. So he knows how to get out of trouble. The way he gets out of trouble is he'll do something that he shouldn't do, and then he'll look at you with his big blue eyes and say, "I love you." I love, W-O-V, you. And then you just can't be mad at him, right? You just can't be mad at him, right? My sister Norma, his mom, was telling me that one night she was putting him to bed, and he looks at her and he says, "I love you, sweet mama." And then he looks at the cross on the wall and goes, "I love you, sweet Jesus." And Norma just said, "Oh, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." And it was just really striking to her, like just how capable this little fella was of saying something so prayerful and so sincere. He wasn't putting on a performance at all. Just that's what he felt. That's what he said. Just capable of great love. It's such innocence in that. This is the gospel of today, right? Unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. There's some fairly strong words there now, right? Because when we think about it, when you refine it all down, at the end of this life, we basically have 2 options. We go to heaven, or we go to somewhere warmer that isn't the Bahamas. Okay? All familiar with the concept? Okay, very good. So we either go to either we want God for all eternity, or we don't want God for all eternity. Either we get God's blessing, God's presence for all eternity, or we don't get God's blessing and presence for all eternity. And anything for all eternity that isn't God is hell. Anything for all eternity that isn't God is hell. It's like anything you like, right? Say anything you like. Say there are probably a few of you who like the rap music, or who like music, who like loud music, right? Which is grand. Okay, we'll talk about that another time. But you like loud music. Okay, that's grand. So you listen to loud music for an hour or 2 a day. Okay, if you were to listen to loud music 24/7 for 3 months, 4 months, a year, right? Migraine, exhaustion, I can't sleep, someone just shut off the music. Anything, even the things that you like, for all eternity, is hell. Like, I love ice cream. Man, I love ice cream. Especially from Tramore. Jane, you're on the beach, and then you just get an ice cream. Up the hill here, there's a wee shop. I'm not sure if the lady is just super generous or doesn't know how to make ice cream cones. She's from America. So we went in, and I said, "Can I have a 99?" She said, "Sure." So she, it's like she pulls, and then, right? And her hand just keeps... I was like... And then she gives it to me, and it was as tall as a pint on top of a small little cone. It was like top heavy, This is awesome. Right? Can I have 7, please? So we got to blast them for the community. And it's epic ice cream. But if you had to have 10 of those a day, right, you'd be sickened, right? One summer I went to pick strawberries, and the farmer said to us, he said, "Look," he used the expression, he said, "You can eat on the pick. You can eat on the pick." And I was like, "Oh, I love strawberries. This is going to be awesome." So I got my bucket, and I was like, 1 for me, 1 for the bucket, 1 for me, 1 for the bucket, 1 for me, 1 for the bucket, 1 for the bucket, 1 for the bucket, 1 for me, 1 for the bucket. And after about 5 minutes, it was like 1 for the bucket, 1 for the bucket, 1 for the bucket. And after an hour, oh, Jenny, if I ever have to taste another strawberry, just after 1 hour, like, there's only so many strawberries you can eat, like. I know you might think, especially for the gentlemen here, you might think I have an infinite appetite. Not really. So anything, even things that you like, for all eternity, is hell. So what is it then that actually satisfies our appetites for all eternity, that we can't get sick of, get bored of, reject eventually? The only thing that can satisfy our appetites, our needs, our desires for all eternity is God, bar none. There is nothing else. So this is like the choice laid before us. It's a really, really simple choice. Do you want God or don't you? Do you want God or not? But that not, for all eternity, that's hell. And that's not God punishing us. He's giving us the free choice. Do you want me? Do you want to be with me? I'm not going to force you into heaven. Do you want this? And then we say, well, I'm not sure what the this is, right? What are you offering, God? I don't really know you. And that's why something like this, Camp Creative, is fantastic, so that we can get to know the Lord, who's trying to win our hearts, who's trying to win our souls, who's trying to win us for all eternity, who thinks that heaven will be lacking something without you. That's why we come to try and get to know him. What's he asking of us? What does he want? Who is he? What did he say? What did he do? Our prophet today, Prophet Ezekiel, has, as all the Old Testament prophets did, a really awful job. Very brief history lesson. So Ezekiel was a priest in Jerusalem. Jerusalem was then invaded by the Babylonians, okay, who took a lot of the Jews away, back to Babylon as slaves, effectively, right? And Ezekiel's job then was in Babylon to work as a prophet and say, there's actually worse to come unless we convert. So he had two jobs. He had to accuse Israel of breaking the covenant, and two, warn them of worse to come unless we change. So the people, they had been living very, very badly. They had not been obeying God's laws. They had been oppressing the foreigner. They had been taking advantage of the widow, the orphan. They had not lived according to God's law. They had put idols into the temple, all sorts of horrific things. So they had abandoned God. God didn't never abandon them. They abandoned God. And then Ezekiel has this job of calling them out on the fact that, hang on, guys, do ye want God or don't ye? Do ye want God's blessing or don't ye? Because if ye don't have to have it. Right? God's blessing isn't automatic. If I want it, God will give it to me. Ginny, I mean, his heart is pierced and open for us because he wants us to receive the blessing. But if I don't want it, I don't have to have it. But if I don't have it, then I do not have God's blessing. I do not have God's protection. What do you think is going to happen? There are other influences out there as well that aren't quite so friendly. And so the people didn't convert, didn't listen to the prophet Ezekiel, and Jerusalem was invaded for a second time by the Babylonians. Temple was destroyed, and it looked like absolute annihilation for them. Okay, so God's trying to warn us. He's trying to help us. He's trying to say, guys, whoa, come back here, back to me, right? I am the good shepherd. If you come here, you will lack nothing. I will guide you to fresh and green pastures, which means lots of food, lads. Right? You will not want for anything if you have me. You will not want for anything. Do you trust me? Do we have that childlikeness, like my little nephew James, to say, Lord, I do love you, or at least I want to try. I want to try to get to know you. Try to establish a relationship with you. Try to actually get to know you as a person, not just as a concept, not just as an idea, but as a person. I want to know you. And we do that primarily through prayer. That's the key. With a regular prayer life, then we have a regular contact with the Lord. There's a very good American speaker. His name is Mark Hart. And he said, prayer doesn't help our relationship with the Lord. Prayer is our relationship with the Lord. You might believe God exists, but unless you're praying, you have no relationship with him. Believing God exists doesn't mean anything. It does not change your life in any way, shape, or form. Believing he exists. What does that mean? I believe he exists. That's really unimpressive. Hi, I believe you exist. You feeling special, warm, fuzzy? No, it doesn't mean anything like, I believe you exist. It doesn't mean anything. Whereas I follow you, I pray to you, I rely on you, I need you, I love you, I want to obey you. That's completely different. That's a relationship. That comes from prayer. Prayer doesn't help our relationship with God. Prayer is our relationship with God. Without prayer, no relationship. And so this is the simple choice placed before us. Do we choose the Lord? Do we want him or not? Do we want a relationship with him or not? And I say, yeah. Well, if you do, what are you willing to do for it? Are you willing to get to know the Lord? Over these days, you'll have opportunities to pray up in the forest or around a fire or in here in the chapel. Use them. Milk those opportunities to get to know the Lord who loves you with all of his heart. Amen.